Well, tonight is Thursday, tomorrow's Friday. So, this is Brother Dana coming to you from Chicago. I want to give a special shout out to all of my Hebrew Israelite brothers and sisters. I just thank you again so much for your love and your support and the kind words. Today I was reading through some of the comments, and there was a comment made that this individual stated that they're beginning to believe that my spirit is sincere, and that is a blessing. That blesses me, because my biggest prayer to the Most High is that my real sincerity in this position that I'm in and speaking out against, racism and declaring the truth of who the true Hebrew Israelites are, that it is out of a place of sincerity and gratefulness. And even I'm just honored to be able to be in that position. So when I read those things, that somebody is beginning to see the Spirit of the Most High in me, it causes me to be very glad. So anyway, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to share something with you, a topic that I know all of us and have seen, and yes, it's Kanye West. And I watched the CNN, but the interaction and his profound words that he shared in the Oval Office today. And I wanted to come to you and share with you why my white family loves a black man like this. And the first and the most obvious to us is that he has made it clear that racism, by his own words, is an imaginary wall. So therefore, racism and white privilege is not existent. It is in your minds as black individuals in this country, which ultimately, it's your excuse for being lazy. It is your excuse for wanting us to take care of you. So Conway did exactly and spoke exactly what my people want to hear, and they're going to believe him. And why do I know this? A very close family member of mine who has been out to Chicago multiple times over the past 25 years that I've lived here, about a year ago or so, came into my home back in Minnesota with my mother, and this individual gave my mom a newspaper clipping from a local newspaper that had an article in there that was written by a black man. He was a professional. I don't remember if he was like a doctor or if he was a lawyer, but he was a professional. And in this column, he said that racism, again, is something that is in the mind of his black brothers and sisters, and is not really real. And so this individual that has been out here to Chicago multiple times and has seen the racism and has heard me share it way before I got on YouTube, put all of that aside, doubted everything that I have been through and shared with them and seen, to believe this so-called black man that wrote this article in a southern Minnesota newspaper, where I don't know if there's maybe 15 black people in all that area, over. And so Conway did exactly what my people were waiting for one of your own to boldly admit, that racism is a lie. And then he said something like he lives privileged. But how do you know what it means to live privileged if you've never been a person of color that is privileged in this country, nation, which is white? You may live privileged within your realm of permission from us, but how do you know what privileged really is when you've never experienced being privileged? because you're not white. On the other end of what I'm trying to say is, what an insult this would be to you, my black brothers and sisters, if I thought I know what it means to live oppressed. Well, maybe my family wasn't a rich white family, but is that any comparison to oppression when you have the color skin of black? My oppression, and I'm not saying I was, but my oppression living as a poor white person amongst the white privileged is nothing compared to you way down here living as a black individual in this country. So how do you know what privilege means when, I'm sorry, you've never lived privileged? My white family loves this because now Kanye is the reality of the norm of black brothers and sisters. And how do I know that? Is because over the years, there was a couple of times, several times, when I went home to Minnesota, I had maybe speaking engagement or something, and some of my young men and stuff that I was mentoring came along. And some of them, one of the young men, Brian, does spoken word and rap, and so there's actually some churches that wanted him to perform, and when I gave the message there, and when these guys would come, the thing that was always spoken to me from church members and extended family was, "Wow, Dana, these young men are not like the rest of them. They're so well-mannered and talented and kind. They're not like the rest of them." And I would look at them and say, these are the first black people you met in real life. So how do you know they're not like the rest of them? You've never met any of the rest of them. So now Kanye has done just the opposite. He has solidified that you give black a little bit of power, they don't even know how to control it, and they're crazy, and they are laughing at him behind closed doors. Most of them will be laughing at him in front of the door because he is nothing but a puppet in our hands. And if you think anybody in that room that's in the administration has really any respect for him, they're using him to get what they want, which is not necessarily to get black voters, but it is to reassure white America that it is very important that we do everything in power, in our ability, to keep white privilege, because you're either going to get somebody like a football player that doesn't know when to stand or when to take command, or you're going to get this type of a leader, a quack, a laughing stock. But see, they'll overlook all of President Trump's stupid, idiotic behavior in that Oval Office and concentrate on Kanye West. So those are just a couple of things that actually sadden my heart. It saddens my heart, not because this is going to change the promises of the Most High, but it's these things and this individual that only makes it worse for you, and that angers me, and it makes me upset because Kanye, it doesn't matter how close you are to them. Can you tell me one black man or woman in history that we have allowed or given the privilege of standing equally with us? I'd like to know one. Because just when you think they are, you should come when all the doors are closed and nobody like you is amongst the rest of us, and I can give you a whole lot of earful of what we really think and what we're really planning to do. So we need to be encouraged. Please be encouraged and know that none of this is going to impact the plan of the Most High. And it makes the road a bit rough, but you will be coming out strong. And when I end here, one of the young men that came up actually prayed with a family member of mine. And after he got done praying, this family member and several others that were in the room they were just weeping. And they were like, I've never heard anybody pray like this. I've never heard anybody in my life pray like this young man. And Brian at the time was probably 18, 17. Well, the reason why is because, again, as whites, the only time we really do what we call praying is when we want to pray for a loved one that might be ill, that might want a job. But we have never lived a life that is constantly in captivity or oppressed. And so the prayer of this young man was only coming because of the life that he has been made to endure. And to this day, that was years ago, that was probably 15 years ago, and to this day, those same family members ask about this young man because that praying young man impacted them. But what makes me so sad is those same family members are 100% behind Trump. So Kanye, if you really think that you have gotten any respect from anybody in that office, slip a little microphone if you can underneath the closed doors. And you might find out what they're really, really up to when it comes concerning you. And I hate to see that happen. Hit me up. Any questions, anything you want to say, www.onelovesociety.love. I don't have my shirt on, but if you would like to join the movement and buy a shirt, go ahead and go to my webpage. Otherwise, you have a great Friday, and we'll talk soon. Shalom.